Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast Retro Life for You, movies of the 1980s. My name is Chris Adams, host of the show, and with us, as always, is Mr. Travis Rollins.
Yes, born and bred way back in the 1900s.
1900, late 1900s. How's it going this week, man?
It's going great, man. I'm finding out I'm evidently officially I guess it's been this way for a year or two, but I'm officially the last of Gen X.
The last of Gen X.
I'm the last of Gen X. I told Tasha she can't be Gen X anymore. It's official. This is 1981. But she can still be proud. She's an elder millennial. She's like an OG millennial, January.
Yeah.
She was born in January of 81, so she's an OG millennial.
Is she the one that started all that crazy stuff?
No. I think it should expand. I think up to maybe 83 or 84 should be able to be Gen X, but who am I?
I can agree with you there. I'll give you that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we have a fun movie this week. We were going to do this last week, and we got caught up in some stuff, so we ended up doing Tango and Cash instead.
Because Travis didn't do his due diligence and rewatch it.
I was not going to throw you under the bus like that, and you don't.
I'll crawl under it myself.
You just flung yourself under there and got hit by every wheel rolling.
It's cool. I have regenerative powers. I just went and watched Deadpool and Wolverine, so I'm all good. I'm pumped up, man.
So you're feeling it then.
Oh yeah.
You didn't hurt yourself by throwing yourself under the bus, but now you're ready to go on something new.
Clack, clack. I'm back.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, this week we're doing Shoot to Kill. This was a thriller movie that I really liked watching when it first came out. I thought it was great. One of the best thrillers I've probably seen. The movie itself has a storyline that has Sidney Poitier in it. And this is his first time in the big screen in an action thriller after a decade-long absence. And basically, the description goes, when a cunning murderer vanishes into the rugged mountains of the Pacific Northwest, pursuing FBI agent Warren Stanton, which is Poitier, must exchange familiar city streets for unknown wilderness trails. Completely out of his element, Stanton is forced to enlist the aid of expert tracker Jonathan Knox, played by Platoon's Tom Berenger. The killer has infiltrated a guided hiking trip led by Knox's girlfriend Sarah, which is Kirstie Alley, at the height of her Cheers fame. Viewers don't know which of the hikers is the killer, and the tension lasts well into the movie. So it was really a very fun watch. Now, did you? That's one of the things I wanted to ask you getting into this. Did you? I mean, when you first seen the group of guys that were there, that were going out on the hiking expedition, did you already have it handpicked out who you thought it was, and if so, how close were you right, or did you have to re-guess a second time? Or
so as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Oh, he's the bad guy. That's him." But they did. I was, maybe not. Let's see. Let's check it out. But no, it came back around. I was right. First guess, my first hunch was right, and it's just because of his former role. You know what I mean?
Other roles he played very similar roles of being a bad guy.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
The other guys.
We're not worried about spoilers from the 80s, right? I mean, if you want
no, you can say who it is.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, when I saw the Kurgan with hair, I was like, okay, that's the bad guy.
Yeah, there you go. Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown has been in so many things playing the bad guy. He plays a great bad guy, really.
He does. You know what? He did a real good job at throwing you off too, though. Like he did a good job at playing a nice guy and a cool part of the group,
But you know what? They did. That's what they did a great job of in the movie, though, because they were throwing little things out from each and every guy. Like, I guess Richard Masur. I say this every time I try to say his name. The dad from License to Drive, right?
Yeah.
When they go to him, he's nervous about being out there. He's never been in a place like that before. He's always seemed nervous, like he's going to get caught for something. But it's just that he's had a divorce and he's not used to being in that type of situation, in that scenario, and that's what threw you off about him.
And didn't later on he say it's okay? I'm a cop or something. Wasn't he a cop?
Well, that's what Clancy Brown told him, because as Richard goes to fall off a cliff,
Clancy said he used to be a cop. It's okay, Clancy's, trust me, I used to be a cop. I'm not going to let that. Yeah.
Right. So Clancy plays the character Steve. He's reaching down to grab his hand to pull him back up, and his gun falls out of his coat. he says, "I need you to hand me that gun." He said, "Are you crazy? Pull me up." He said, "I'm going to pull you up, but I need that gun. I'm a cop, and I'm on a getaway." So he goes to pull him up, and as he pulls him up, he's on the very edge, holding his hand, and he lets go of his hand. And,
Mm-hmm.
And this is at the point when you finally realize
Mufasa.
what. But they, like I said, as far as throwing you off track, Frederick Coffin plays the role of Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw. The only thing I can remember him in was in Marked for Death. He played Nico's friend. Not Nico. What was his friend? What was his name in Marked for Death?
That wasn't Nico?
No.
That was Hard to Kill.
I'm sorry, Hard to Kill. Hard to Kill. And maybe
I'm saying, what? But his name was Nico, though, wasn't it?
Well, it was Nico and Above the Law, I think. Nico Toscani, wasn't it? Anyway, he was in one of those Seagal movies, and he played the guy who was his partner and looked after his kid all that time when he was in the coma. I remember him from that, but even he has a part in there where he's wanting to know what happened to the radio. Where's the radio? Can we get to a place where there's a radio? And he's talking about his, health issues or something because of his knee and everything. I think it was until when rain was coming or storms were coming. So he throws y'all. The guy that plays the one always talking about the fishing stories, Ben.
That guy, real quick, just because I reference this every time I get a chance, because shout out to my mom. Shout out Mom Dukes. People don't call it. See, that's a Gen X thing right there too, Mom Dukes. Shout out to my mom. He was Big Zooey in Lonesome Dove too.
Who was?
The guy we just said, because he didn't look very different.
The one that played Ralph? The one from the Seagal movie, or the one playing the
Frederick. Yeah, Frederick Coffin.
Okay. Yeah. Kevin Scannell played the role of Ben. He's the one talking about the fish he always caught everywhere.
So, yeah.
I thought it could be him too, though, at first, because he's the one who's trying to be likable the most. He's telling all these stories and everything, right? All these fishing stories, and like when Kirstie Alley's behind him, it kind of cracked me up. He said, talking about this fish, the steelhead you ever seen, and she's behind him going, it's like, it's big, it's like 3 foot long, and laughing.
Always bigger. Bigger and bigger and bigger.
They did a really good job, though, of playing it off until they didn't play it off no more and you knew who it was.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's one of the things I liked about it the most, I think. That got me to liking and watching it again.
I think for me, it was the way it started out. Well, so Chris told me too, guys, like if you go back to watch this movie, the first probably 15, 20 minutes of it, it's a slow go. Yeah. You start out with was a diamond.
They're establishing the crime. They're establishing the crime and why Poitier is chasing him.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it almost put me off with the whispering, giving them directions and stuff, like the murderer, like, oh, if she doesn't show up, I'm gonna know. But then when they get to the retreat, to the excursion, it turns fun. Like then it was like, that's where it grabbed my attention and was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool here. I'm digging this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like any good movie that has a story to it. You got to establish the story first. If you can make it through establishing the story, then you're gonna really enjoy it. It's like a really good book when you have to establish the story up front, and it's the slowest part of the book. But then you hit the meat of it. And you're like, man, this is awesome. I can't put it down.
Yeah. But they've gotten better at that over the years, though. They've gotten better at something in the beginning to grab your attention. And then a lot of times they will reverse it. They'll do something really cool in the beginning to grab your attention, and it's a crap after that.
Right. So I mean, I'm gonna assume every time I ask you this question, because when these movies came out, you did not go to the theater for this. You watched it at home or something. Am I right? Or have you seen this?
You are 100% correct. I watched this at home about 3.5 hours ago.
I was going to say that you've never seen this before, if I'm not mistaken.
I've never seen this one. This one was a new one for me. So usually when it's Tom Berenger, I think I've seen a couple of his B war movies, but usually if it's him, it's the substitute. Sidney Poitier, I think it was like Heat of the Night. I think he was in, wasn't it?
In the Heat of the Night, he was in
Heat of the Night.
There's a reference in this movie where he tells the character Jonathan Knox, which is Tom Berenger, that he has faced off against the mafia, the Ku Klux Klan, and the KGB, and which is true in his past movies in that order. There was I forget the name of the movie, and I can tell you in just a second though.
Well, it seems like
So here it is. In a fight with Tom Berenger, Sidney Poitier says he's been up against the Mafia, the Ku Klux Klan, and the KGB. It says he has. In Let's
mhm,
Do It Again, 1975, In the Heat of the
mhm.
Night in 67, and Little Nikita in 1988.
Okay.
So,
This is what I remember. I knew it was one of these movies. And really, honestly, I thought it was Death of a Salesman, but I guess not. But Porgy and Bess, he was in Porgy and Bess in 1959, I think. And a
okay.
Raisin in the Sun. So he was in a few of these older movies that I've seen.
Yes.
So some of these we watched for school. Some of them we watched for we had like, so when I was coming up too, this is something that I didn't know for some of our listeners that may be out there that have never been to the real South. I had no idea that out west, like I've got friends from California now. I've got neighbors from California and friends in other parts of the United States, and I had no idea that other parts of the country don't study the Civil War like we did. For us, the Civil War and Black history was year round, all year long, all the way through school. We learned about the Civil War and the rights movement, the civil rights movement and activism from the time I can remember all the way through high school.
Right.
And they told me that no, that was like a chapter in the book, and they learned about like the Alamo. So they learned the Alamo all the way through school. Um, so through that, we had a lot of stuff like Porgy and Bess, Raisin in the Sun, Death of a Salesman, of Mice and Men. Just the list goes on and on and on of these older movies that I've watched. So that's where I've seen a lot of stuff from. And I do recommend that too, because those are, especially the ones that I'm naming off, are plays and musicals that got turned into movies, and they're considered um, classic and great Americana to go back and be part of, almost Shakespeare. Like if
Yep.
Shakespeare was in America, they like these plays would be that.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I obviously I saw this at the theater. At this point in time when movies were coming out, as I was telling a friend of the show, of ours, Tim, I was on a podcast with him just before this, helping him out, and I was told him, I said during the later '80s, I was pretty much a theater rat. I was in there all the time during the summer, especially summer break from school. There'd be maybe once a week. I'd ride in with my mom in the mornings on her way to work. She'd drop me off at this one place, had a 14 screen theater, an arcade, and places to eat.
Heck
And I would
yeah.
then I would spend the day there. I would go in, I would buy me a ticket to a movie, obviously, and go watch the movie. I may or may not have slipped into one or two after that.
There you
Uh,
go.
Played in the arcade and everything, but I was always at the movies watching stuff during that time frame. And I definitely saw this one there, and it was. I mean, I remember it was sitting and watching it in the theater, and I was like, just give me chills. It was such a little thing. When I finally figured out and seen who it was, I'm like, oh, it's him. Because I had it in my mind for sure it was Richard Mazur's character because he was so nervous for being there.
Right.
In my mind, it was him. And then I got this, and to top it off, I find out it's not him because he's the first one that gets killed by the actual guy, right?
Right.
So I'm like, man.
How
And
crazy is
then
that?
where would you rank this around other thrillers that you've watched though, as far as how good it was? I mean, there's
So
so many we've seen.
and I know that this is I know that this is fully in the thriller genre, but for me, this is more of an adventure cop drama. Yeah, I don't. I know it's a thriller, but
I'd
it
say it's
doesn't
a
have the
combo of both actually though. Because like you had like all right, for example, you have horror comedy, right?
right.
You have action comedy,
Hmm.
you have drama thriller or thriller drama, however you want to say it. You
Hmm.
have horror thriller
I
because
would
it's
say
not a
this is
real
an
it's like
action suspense.
there's a movie called The First Power with Lou Diamond Phillips in it. Have you seen
Yes,
this?
absolutely. That movie's a
Okay.
thriller for sure. Yeah.
But it's also listed as a horror movie. It's like
Yeah.
a horror
But
thriller.
yeah. Yeah.
More thriller than anything, though.
Correct. Which is why I say that I would call this a more leaning towards suspense than thriller. So when I think of
I could give you that too, though, because it's a big
yeah,
suspense on who it is, and you're waiting to find out, and then you finally get it, and the payoff's there, and you're like,
right. And see
wow.
where I look at thrillers, I guess really for a lot of people do fall further into the horror genre because when I'm thinking of a thriller, I'm thinking of something like um shoot, Cobra. I think Cobra's a thriller. Um
I don't know if I put Cobra as a thriller or not,
and
but I
then
mean,
you've
look,
got the one with what's the one, an action thriller I should say. The one with it's Chuck Norris and that great big dude Happy Gilmore got shot in the head with a nail. You know what I'm talking about?
Silent Rage.
Silent Rage. That one.
That was something else right there.
That one was crazy. And then what was the one? So you had one with Michael Keaton too, something Heights. I think it was
Pacific
called
Heights.
Pacific Heights. That's to me that, when I think of cop thrillers, I think of those movies. But I guess they would lean more toward the horror genre.
Now, as far as thrillers go, Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
Witness, Harrison Ford. Some people think, I don't know why, but some people think Clue was a thriller. I don't think Clue's really as much of a thriller as it is.
I think it's a comedy. You talking about the one with Tim Robinson?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How could that be really a thriller?
Yeah.
Unless it's a combo thriller comedy. Cujo, thriller kind of horror.
Yeah.
I would see.
And see, I would take Cujo and put Cujo fully into horror. For me, a thriller is something that has horror elements. Yeah. Whereas this to me is more. I didn't feel the horror elements. This was just a. But it was thrilling to watch. So I guess thriller. There you go. You know what I mean? So
there you go.
Apples and oranges, my friend.
I give you that.
So around the same time period, this one was good. Maybe what was it? Unlawful Entry.
Well, that was good. Ray Liotta.
Yeah, and Trespass. Would you say Trespass? Is that or was that around the same time? Trespass was way later.
Is Trespass still with Emilio Estevez and Cuba Gooding Jr. and that group?
Right, when they're going to the boxing match. Yeah, that's way later.
I mean, it's okay if you want to include 90s, because 90s is still in retro. It's just not in our decade. We usually
I'm trying to think about ones that came out around the same time as this did. This was what, 88, 89?
I want to say 88. Yes, 88.
Yeah. So I would think, am I wrong too? Pacific Heights and Unlawful Entry, and aren't those around the same time?
I think they're late 80s.
Okay.
Late 80s. Was The Fan late 80s?
Ooh, The Fan was good. What about Cape Fear?
Cape Fear. There you go. That's another one. That's in the general time frame, I think. It may be early 90s on that. Maybe early 90s. But look, late 80s, early 90s, those kind of bleed in together for us.
They really do. No, yeah, I would put this one up there. I would say that, you know what I mean? Like, this one was good. And I think the outdoor adventure side of it is what really got a hold of me, too. I really enjoyed that part more than I did the parts where they were in the city.
Sleeping with the Enemy and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Ooh, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, yo.
Yes. Yeah, I love Sleeping with the Enemy. I love The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. To me, those are some very, very well done thriller type movies.
Yo, like The Babysitter.
It may not be the genre that I like the most, but there has been some great movies been put out in that genre for sure.
Surely, yeah.
I can't say anything bad about a lot of them. Is there any favorite part that you have of this movie or anything? Or
yes. Yes, I fell out, dude. Look at my name, or look below my name. Why should a bear be
different? Yeah.
Oh my God! So the whole time they're out there, people they were like, "Oh, is that a bear? I hear a bear. I hear a bear." Like people are coming.
They always think, look at my name. They always think I'm a bear.
They always think I'm a bear. Yeah, that was when the guide came back. She's like, "Oh, we thought you thought I was a bear, didn't you?" They always think I'm a. But so a bear actually shows up. And so this part goes with it too, though. So when Sidney first showed up at the cabin and he opened the door and the moose was in his face, like,
yeah.
So like you think it's a bear,
but it sounded like he knocked on the door too, didn't it?
It did.
It was like his antlers were hitting the door, probably.
So like a bear finally, and actually a real bear does show up. And Sidney Poitier is
Yeah.
Like he's yelling at him funny too. It's like he's scared trying to get it to go away, but at the same time, it's hilarious the way he's doing it. And he said something. Tom Berenger was like, "I have never in my life seen a bear like I've never seen that." And he said, I forget exactly what he said, but the quote was phenomenal. He said something about the people not being used to seeing a black man out here or something. Why would a bear be any different? It's like,
Yeah.
it was so funny, man.
They had several lines that carried over in that movie that were funny, quotes. When he pulls Berenger back up on the rope on the cliffside. When
Oh
that,
yeah, you country boys do this all the time. And he's like,
yeah, he's like all the
every
time.
damn day.
Yeah, every day. Yeah. And then when they get in the city, he's like, "You city boys do this stuff all the time." And he's like, "Every damn day."
Every damn day. Heck
So
yeah.
the way things kind of, and there was another one too. There was another quote that went from the country back to the city. There was two. I can't
Right.
remember I can't remember the second one right now. Do you remember since you seen it earlier what the second
I
one is?
don't. I don't.
Man, it'll hit me later when the show's over with, I'm sure. And I
Right.
hate that. But yeah, man, it's so many quotable things about it. It's a fun movie to watch. It's really great. They had
For sure.
some pretty nice trivia things about it too out there as well. I was
Heck
looking at it
yeah.
earlier. The movie was called Deadly Pursuit in the UK because of the recent. It said when this happened, there was a recent massacre in Hungerford where Michael Ryan had gone on a shooting rampage, killing around a dozen people and injuring several others. I don't know anything about this.
That's terrible.
I'd have to
That's
look this up
terrible.
and research it. Oh, it is terrible, Charles. Thank you.
That's terrible.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. So it was in bad taste to release a film with "shoot" in the title. They said so. They made it, Deadly Pursuit there. However, did you know the plot of this movie was used in an episode of MacGyver?
In season 4, episode 15, The Invisible Killer.
You are watching the same thing I am right now. That is correct. Do you remember the episode though? I do.
I do not. I'll be honest with you.
Yes.
When MacGyver was actually on TV, I hated MacGyver. Like as a kid,
I
I couldn't
MacGyver,
stand
man.
it.
I loved
It
it.
was so boring to me.
I had every season on DVD for a while, and I still may have most of them. Although I lost a lot of my DVDs in Hurricane Michael, I don't know if I lost all of these or not. But I had all of the seasons of it plus the TV movies they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember seeing that. It was on there was he had to unmask an escaped convict on a scenic hike. It aired only a little over a year after the film was released. So,
Oh, wow.
A lot of fun stuff about it though. Give me just a second here.
Wow.
The knife Berenger is seen using is a Gerber BMF survival knife and was influenced by those used by Sylvester Stallone in the Rambo franchise.
The Gerber BMF. I wonder what that stands for.
Bad mofo.
Bad mofo. Look, for a knife out in the wilderness, this is made by Condor knives. If I don't cut myself with it,
don't do that.
I just sharpened it too.
We can't run to the ER in the middle of an episode. All right.
This is made by Condor, and I'm going to tell you right now. I grew up in the woods. People, like, you could throw me out there with just this. I'll come back. That's why they won't put me on none of the shows. But bar none, what they did was they gave Matt Graham from Dual Survivor. Condor went to him and they gave him a knife, and it was way bigger than that. Well, he went in the woods. He kept it for like 6-8 months. He came back out of the woods. And this is what he came back out of the woods with. This, I mean, you can get this knife before he modded it. I forgot what it's called, but it's way bigger. It's shaped very differently. And he came back, and this is called the Primitive. And this is the actual Matt Graham edition. And I'm going to tell you now, this is the most useful, all-around, best survival. I won't even call it camping. This is the best survival tool.
Do you remember why they called them survival knives to begin with? Do you remember the commercials for those?
Oh, where they had the Rambo knife, where they had the compass and the saw and the string.
That's why they called them survival knives. Yeah, everybody wanted one as a kid, and when you got one, you tried the saw on the first tree limb you found.
It was hollow aluminum.
You broke it like 2 minutes into sawing the tree limb off.
Yeah. Rambo's knife didn't. Yeah,
right.
This is a survival knife.
So that is
That's
cool.
Not a knife. This is a knife. Yeah, it is. It's great, and the way that the handle is shaped is it's great, and it's ambidextrous.
What was the hatchet you had?
This is the Cold River Cutlery Chogan, CRKT Chogan, and it has a hammer back on it, and It's the tomahawk. Now, the beautiful thing that this we're doing it. We were trying to make this episode short, guys, but I just wanted to throw this out here since we were on an adventurous one. I get a lot of people on the side and used to when I got out in the woods all the time and I was on YouTube. A lot of people asked me a lot of questions, but I used to think that a kukri was my favorite thing to take in the woods. Now it's a tomahawk. The reason why it's a tomahawk, not a hatchet, not an axe, a tomahawk, is because the versatility is unmatched. So this doesn't come looking like this. I sharpened this up here. I've polished it and I sharpened this back tang. Usually only this is sharp. So you get your hammer, you get this. The beautiful thing about a tomahawk is, I don't know if I can do it just right. Let's see. We'll do it with this one. So the beautiful thing about a tomahawk versus a hatchet, I can't do it. I'm going to have to bop it on the ground. Oh, she's on there today. So you smack it a couple times, and where with a hand with an axe or something, you drive it up into it. That's not how these work. It goes slender to fat. So now you can use this for skinning, you can use it for chopping, you can use it for all kind of stuff. But say it don't go in. The fat side won't go into it. You got to drop it through it like this. So if you ever break your hand, if you ever break the handle,
yeah,
it's real easy just to go ahead and reach over here and grab a tree limb. Tree limbs grow fat to skinny. You just cut you off and go to strong tree limb. You got you another handle. They're great for reaching up, climbing hills, grabbing. So anyway, back to, I just wanted to drop that out there real quick.
I mean, it interests me. That's cool. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, there's all kind of stuff I got to teach you about that now. I was raised by a real Green Beret and a real 82nd Airborne, so I learned a lot of stuff.
Well, what I was going to tell you earlier, now the cool thing about this is you've probably seen already when it talked about the knife in the Rambo franchise, the canyon scenes where Berenger crosses the cable to retrieve the cart is the same location used in First Blood.
What? That's cool. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and that's I always like when they make references to places they reused for stuff and everything. And when I seen it, I had to admit it did kind of look like it was something familiar.
Right.
But I was like, they of course they made it look a little bit different. I don't think that crossover thing was there when they did First Blood. Probably added to the movie or something. So
I got another real quick one that's interesting. Did you know that this is Poitier's first and only R-rated film in which he's the headlining star?
I did not know that, but that is
I didn't know that either.
That is definitely cool. Now his character Stanton, a little tidbit for his character, carries an S&W 586 357 Magnum. This was a common handgun carried by the FBI special agents in the mid 80s, early 90s.
I got a cheap little Rossi.
Oh, hey.
He's a hand cannon. No, you load it. I put 38 specials in it, but when you put a 357 mag in that thing, dude, it's a cannon.
When I hear 357, when I hear 357 Magnum, and I don't even know if this is correct or not, but I always think of Dirty Harry. I don't remember if that's what he used or not.
That was a 44.
Was it a 44 he used?
Dirty Harry carried a 44 Magnum.
Okay.
That big 357s can have long barrels on, but usually a 357 is like a snub nose.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire?
Yeah, 44 Magnum. That's a whole nother, like, good God. That's like another, let's see, 357. 1 millimeter is 0.03937. 357, 0.44, 0.357. That's like a whole nother 2 millimeters larger. That's like a 7 millimeter bullet versus a 9 millimeter bullet.
So Sidney Poitier didn't do a movie for 10 years. And then he comes back and does this and Little Nikita both in the same year.
Oh, when did he do that one? That one with Bruce Willis and Richard Gere. I forgot what it was called.
With Bruce Willis and Richard
Yeah,
Gere.
I remember him being in it.
Well,
the Jackal. It's called the Jackal, I think.
Oh, was he in the Jackal?
Yeah, he was one of the cops. He was one of the.
I have not. I mean,
characters.
I never watched the Jackal, to be honest with you.
Oh, it's a good one.
But the Jackal was done in 1997.
Yeah. Oh, so that was way later.
So that was about 10 years later.
Yeah, see, that's my ADD,
but
man.
Doing those two movies, he did a piece of the action in 77. Then 11 years later, he did a Shoot to Kill in Little Nikita. Then he's got a couple TV miniseries. Then he's got his next movies in 92 called Sneakers. So, and then The Jackal was his next actual movie that wasn't a TV deal.
Heck
So,
yeah.
I mean, so I ain't gonna say that he was, a big worker later in the years in the '90s and everything, but he
Yeah,
did
no.
his bit.
Well, no, we don't want to end it on a sad note, but I think this is interesting that Sidney Poitier and Kirstie Alley both passed away in 2022, within a year of one another. Sidney passed away on January 6th, and Alley passed away on December 5th of 2022.
Wow,
That's interesting. It's sad, but it's interesting.
it is sad. Now, you always hate it when you lose people you like watching the movies and everything that play good roles and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
But well, I mean, it's your favorite part was the bear. You said
Absolutely. Yeah. What was yours?
I think one of my favorite parts was you referenced it already because it's kind of humorous. Was the part about the moose? He hears a knocking at the door.
Dude,
He
that was
opens it up. There's a
funny.
moose. He
And
shuts
then,
the door. And then he reopens it again, and it's not there. And he says, "Okay, I must have been seeing stuff." And then Tom Berenger comes in a minute later with a roll of
yeah.
toilet paper and goes, "You see the moose?"
Did you meet the moose? Yeah, that was funny.
But I would highly recommend the movie to anybody out there who wants to watch it. It's if you want a good thriller, a good action, suspense, thriller type deal, this is definitely a movie you would enjoy to watch. And if you haven't seen it, we've ruined it for you, I'm sure, with spoilers. But it's still a good movie to watch. And if you haven't seen it, shame on you. It came out in 1988.
Yeah.
What he said. Anything, Travis, that you want to throw out about the movie itself? We're trying a new format, everybody. Just so you guys know, we have been working forever to try to get our episodes down to a respectable time frame where people would have an easier time listening or watching. 45 minutes was a goal, and we had for a while, and we achieved that and did fairly well with it. Now our next goal is trying to hit it right at the 35-minute mark if we can, and we're at 32 minutes now. So we're probably going to wrap up and go and call it a show. But I'm thinking this format is going to kind of work out pretty well because you're getting the meat of the movie. You're finding out who's in it and everything. We're getting a few trivia things tossed in and favorite parts, and it's been a blast talking about it. But I mean,
I think I might be getting a Bill Clinton down.
Oh, you think so? What's that? The thumb? Is it just the thumb?
Oh yeah, I'm not even trying to. I did not. I don't know. I'd have to go back and listen to it. It's been a long time.
I did not watch that movie with
Hillary. I did not watch that movie with Hillary.
I did not watch that movie with that woman.
With that woman.
I did not have I did not have movie relations with that woman.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is right there. Cinematic. I did not have cinematic relations.
There you go. Oh my God. All right.
So, where can they find us if they do like this new format?
Yeah, if you do like this new format, feel free to find us out to seek us out at YouTube. We are on YouTube now. I've been putting everything up there each week, and I'm still slowly uploading the old episodes. It just takes me some time. I need all the. If I had a lot of free time, I'd have them all up there by now, probably, but I don't. But yeah, I'm slowly but surely doing that. All the new stuff goes on every week. You can find us at retrolife4u.com, where you can listen to us out of your web browser. And if you look in the show notes, you can actually watch the video right there on the website as well. Not only that, but if you want to support the show in any way, there's a link on there where you can support the show. It's kind of like a tip format in a way, but it does support the show and helps us. It will help us in the future get people to come on the show with us. And I have found a place where I could get some people to come on, but obviously people these days don't come on for free that often anymore. I'm finding out.
Times are hard, man. Times are hard.
I guess so. I think most everybody's caught on to the podcast craze and they're charging to come on most of the shows now, which is cool. I don't mind. I mean, you got to get paid for stuff, right?
Yeah.
So as long as it's reasonable, I don't really mind. So
yeah.
But anyway, that being said, catch us on Facebook, catch us on Instagram. Mainly,
that's one thing
on YouTube.
Let me interrupt real quick. Intercede real quick. That's one thing too. The more of y'all that listen, the more subscribers and followers we get, the more people we can get on because they want the reach. So there you go.
This is true.
Help some brothers out. Participate. Give us some advice. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like.
And when you do go to YouTube and catch us there, make sure you hit the little bell at the top to let you know when the new things come on. You follow, subscribe to us. Give us some likes on there. Leave some comments if you what you thought about the show, what you think about the movie that we were talking about and everything. I do respond to a lot of them on there. It's a fun thing to, the interaction is what I look for the most. It's the most fun I have with this and everything. So definitely follow us on there, like, subscribe, hit the little bell notification. Follow us on, like I said, Facebook and Instagram, and you can keep up with our little banterings on there as well. And Travis, did you manage to come
Oh
up with
yeah.
anything at all this week? For this type
Yeah,
of
yeah. So check this out. Since we're talking about bears, and
yeah,
I showed y'all some survival things here. All right, and I'm gonna teach you what to do with the bears. If it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, say good night. I'm not gonna teach you all that, but I'm gonna teach you how to catch a polar bear. Okay,
yeah,
I heard this. So this is how you catch a polar bear. You're gonna go and you're gonna do like they do, drill a hole and cut a big hole in the ice, right?
okay,
And then make sure the water's deep. Cut you a big hole in the ice, and then get you a can of sardines and open that can up. And he gonna smell that because he can smell for miles and miles. So when he comes walking up and when he bends over to pick up that can of sardines, you kick him in the ice hole.
oh my god.